Hi there, this is Dr. John Wick. I'm talking about news in nutrition and air pollution. Air pollution isn't something you always smell or see, but we're talking about the tiny particles that are put out by diesel buses and trucks and factories and smokestacks. And they're labeled in two sizes. PM10, uh, 2.5 to 10 are considered coarse particles, but PM 2.5 and less are tiny microparticles, micrometer in size. And they're much, much smaller, and they get deep down into your lungs. Now, the New England Journal of Medicine has just published this article looking at 652 cities over 30 years. So it's a massive study. And what they found is that for every 10 micromolar increase per cubic meter, you have a 0.44 increase in mortality almost immediately, as in within days to hours. This is alarming. And what's even more alarming is that some places that feel like they're actually pretty clean most of the time, when they have spikes in their air pollution, they actually have even a bigger spike. So folks who seem to be in most of the time clean places actually are also affected by it. So it isn't just really filthy cities like Beijing or New Delhi or Mexico City, but it could also be the city that you live in. This is alarming. It goes on top of other studies we published in the past that look at, for example, if you do a dog study of dogs living close to or being placed close to busy highways and looking at them, you can show that tiny pollution gets up into their brains. Your nose, at the top of your nose, you have millions of nose fibers that are literally right next to the base of your brain. And your smell, one of your most primitive senses, have millions of axons literally right there on the top of your nose. And that makes a highway right up into your brain. And you can find those particles in your brain. And study from Mexico City show children living next to busy highways perform less than children who live elsewhere. Similar kinds of studies published in the journal Brain show that, very distressing, in elderly women exposed to pollution, show as much as a 19% increase in cognitive function for every quartile increase in pollution in their cities. All of this is very alarming, but what caught my eye is the confluence of two very interesting ideas. And that is, the stuff you breathe in gets deep into your bronchial tubes and into your body. In some cases into your brain, some cases into your lung, but probably also into your circulation. Because to kill you quickly, you have to set off something alarming, like your signs of systemic inflammation. Now we're just beginning to learn that, and here's where the confluence of research comes together that I'd just like to entertain. In chronic inflammatory response syndrome, CIRS, caused by mold or Lyme disease or blue-green algae, we know that you're igniting your innate immune system. Those folks are called chronic fatigue syndrome or fibromyalgia or something like that. But we now know that in pollution, people are dying immediately, probably because you're setting off, again, their innate immune system with inflammation. And with mold and with CIRS, it becomes a lifelong history of misery and symptoms. With heart disease, that little extra inflammation tips you over the edge, and folks who are ready to be tipped find themselves much more vulnerable. Now we say they died from a heart attack, but did they really? And the epidemiologists are showing that you see a spike in mortality now that's irrefutable. There is no level that is safe. So loosening up pollution control standards is playing with mortality, immediate mortality. It's not abstract, it's there. What do we do about it? What will work for me? Well, I have an air oasis and a Honeywell and an air doctor in my home. My home is like a showroom for different kinds of devices because we're trying to fight mold. What works the best? Well, my Honeywell air filter turns on every time we fry food in the kitchen, so that means we're aerosolizing little droplets that it's able to pick up. But I think there's probably good products most of the good filters seem to cost more than $150. So anything that costs that may not be adequate. But that's what we're using in our home. And I'm thinking about, we've now put on an extra air filter on our furnace, and I'm being terribly conscientious at changing the filters every 3 months on the calendar. Perhaps you should do that too. This is Dr. Whitcomb talking about how air pollution kills immediately. Wish us all luck.